going deep. We met in our last year at university when I was out with friends. Sarah was celebrating her 21st birthday when I met her at a local club in Nashville. I literally bumped into Sarah as I walked by her table, knocking her drink into her lap. After a few awkward moments, I apologized, and we talked while I helped her clean up the mess I had made. Some call it love at first sight, but I think there was a unique chemistry between us that drew us like a magnet. From that night on, we dated and were never apart again. A year later, we were married and began our life together. My name is Jonathan, and my friends call me Johnny. I have a degree in accounting and became a certified public accountant at a large accounting firm in Atlanta, where Sarah and I settled near our family. After working and gaining experience at a large accounting firm, I started my own firm. I'm Sarah, who has a degree in business administration, supported me for the first 2 years until she became pregnant with our wonderful daughter, Angel. Sarah and I had a fairy tale relationship. We were still madly in love and spent all our time together. When Angel came into our lives, we extended our love to our wonderful daughter. For the next 10 years, we lived a typical family life, with me working hard to grow the business and Sarah taking care of the house and raising our daughter. Sexually, we were happy and made love at least 3 times a week. I say we loved each other, and that's exactly what it was, love. Our feelings for each other were deep and sensual. We never experimented or had hard sex because we respected each other and never wanted to do anything like that. Sarah enjoyed being orally stimulated, and I liked giving it to her. But she wasn't a big fan of having my cock in her mouth, and only did so on special occasions. Probably less than 10 times during our marriage. I never pushed her as I was content with our life and enjoyed our relationship. What I loved about Sarah was how attentive she was of all times. From the day we said our vows, she'd kiss or hug me, take my arm or hold my hand whenever we were together. The intimacy in our marriage was incredible, and I loved every second of our closeness. Our friends always laughed at us and said it wouldn't last forever. But after 10 years of that affection, they finally realized we were a special couple. When Angel was 10 years old, Sarah said she wanted to go back to work. Now that Angel had a routine and came home from school every day at 3:30 p.m., Sarah explained that she did not want to sit at home every day, but wanted to go back to the real world. After hours of discussion, we agreed and developed a plan that would ensure Angel continued to get the attention a 10-year-old girl needed. Sarah found a job as a personal assistant to William, a lawyer 10 years her senior. The hours were good, and Sarah loved having adult responsibilities, which was good for her ego and confidence. She was no longer a housewife, but a businesswoman and mother. I saw how happy she was with her work and supported her. She was able to be home by 4 o'clock every day and was always there for Angel. Our family grew stronger as time went on. We had a comfortable life and lived in an upscale apartment complex with membership to a country club. Since we had no financial problems, we were able to save enough for Angel's college and our retirement. We lived a blessed life because we had our health, money, and happiness without worrying. As you can imagine, sex life changes after 10 years of marriage, and in most marriages, it slows down, and ours was no different. We went from making love 3-4 times a week to only 2 times a week, usually Friday and Saturday nights. Yes, we became predictable, but we still loved each other and enjoyed our closeness. Sarah never stopped being attentive and always showed me her love throughout the years. I enjoy that attention and love, and the intimacy we shared was more rewarding to me than our lovemaking. Being kissed and hugged for no reason and being appreciated for her love was overwhelming, and for me, the best part of our marriage. I returned the attention, but Sarah always made sure I knew how much she loved me. Angel joined the math club and stayed after hours, coming home around 5 p.m. Around the same time, Sarah started working late 2 nights a week, which worked out well because Angel now came home at the same time I did. We never wanted to leave her alone at that age and made sure our schedules matched. William, Sarah's boss, was promoted to senior partner in his father-in-law's firm. When he received the promotion, Sarah had to work a few extra hours 2 evenings a week. Tuesday and Thursday nights, she was home by 7 p.m., and I made sure dinner was ready when she got home from her long day at work. Other than those 2 nights a week, everything stayed the same in our marriage. My business was doing well now, and I was earning a good income. The company grew to 45 employees, and I had my hands full growing the business. We became a well-known and respected accounting firm that became a target for acquisition or merger with some of the larger firms in the area. Angel was now 15 years old and beginning to think about college and her future. Sarah still worked for William and was still as attractive as the day we met. The years had done Sarah good as she maintained her slim figure, enhanced by her long, sexy legs and round butt. She had a pretty face, but never seemed anything other than professional and conservative. We both lived a lifestyle that others might call boring. We spent most of our time together at home, or going to the movies, or a family event with our daughter, and were always together as a family, never going out alone, or without each other as a couple. I received a call from William, her boss at work, informing me that Sarah was to be honored for an award at a banquet the next month, and that I and Angel were invited to attend. I proudly accepted the invitation and told Angel that her mother would be receiving an award for excellence in her profession. Since the award was a surprise, they wanted us there. Usually, these meetings were for staff only, and we were asked to keep it a secret until the awards ceremony. In the last 5 years since Sarah started working for William, she has done excellent work that seemed to make her happier at home and boost her self-esteem. I know she worked hard and was well liked in her company, and now to hear that they wanted to show their appreciation made Angel and me proud. Sarah told us about an upcoming business meeting at the Ritz-Carlton downtown, and that she had to work late and give a presentation to the entire company. She was looking forward to giving the presentation and had spent many hours on it in the weeks leading up to the event. At the time, she did not know we were invited or anything about her award and Angel, and I kept our secret. We could hardly wait for the event and Sarah's award. I took Angel shopping for a new dress, and I bought a new suit to make sure she would be proud of her family at the awards ceremony. Sarah wore a knee-length dress with a back cutout that looked professional, but still showed off her beautiful curves. She was an attractive woman and still desirable at the tender age of 37. Before the limo picked her up to make arrangements for the meeting, Angel and I hugged her and wished her luck for her presentation that evening. We had 2 hours to get ready after she left for the event, and we both got dressed on time and left to be at the event about 30 minutes before Sarah's talk. One of the hosts greeted us and seated us at a table in the middle of the room with a clear view of the stage. Angel and I were given special treatment, and everyone told us how much they loved Sarah and how delighted they were to meet us. We felt so welcome and happy to be there for our wife and mother. The lights in the audience dimmed as they began the introductions on stage. The spotlights flickered as the first speaker introduced the firm's founder, the CEO, and then William, the senior partner. William gave a brief speech about the company's successful year, and then introduced Sarah, who was to share some of the past year's successes. Sarah came on stage looking as beautiful as ever, and I saw how proud Angel was when she saw her mother begin her presentation. In a professional and practiced voice, Sarah talked about the great year the company had had, their successes, and the future projects they were working towards. She spoke for about 10 minutes, and when she was done, she handed the stage back to William. But before she left, Williams took her in his arms and held her next to him as he spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, before Sarah leaves the stage, I would like to say a few words. Sarah and I have worked closely together over the past 5 years, and Sarah has become an integral part of our organization and my work life. I am convinced that without her, we would not have achieved some of the successes she has outlined today. It is my great honor to honor Sarah tonight with her highest honor, the Chairman's Club Award. This award is only given to employees who go far above and beyond the call of Dovey, and are recognized for their commitment to the company. She received a large plaque and an envelope containing 10,000 award. With tears in her eyes, she accepted the check, hugged William, turned to the audience, and thanked everyone. Angel and I had tears in our eyes because we were both so proud of her mother. The people at the table all hugged me, and it was one of our happiest evenings. We were both bubbling with pride and could not stop smiling. The lights came on, and it was time for a drink. I took my daughter's glass and told her I'd be right back as I walked to one of the bars on the side of the room. The lines for drinks were long, and I saw an empty bar near the stage and walked over to get a double jack and a soft drink for Angel. Feeling happy and generous, I smiled and threw $5 in the tip jar, took my drinks, and turned to go back to my table. It was at that moment my world imploded. On the way back, something caught my eye, and I turned to see what it was. Behind the curtains, protected from the gaze of others, a couple was hugging and kissing. I thought this was strange and out of place at such an event, but thought nothing more of it until I recognized the dress. It was the same dress Sarah had worn that night. I turned around once more and froze in place. The couple I was looking at was still engaged in a heartfelt kiss. The woman had her arms wrapped around the man's neck, and the man's hand was caressing her buttocks unhindered. The way they embraced made me realize that this was not the first time they had shared this intimacy. The couple obviously felt safe behind the curtain and allowed for intimate feelings. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience as I watched the action. Still frozen with 2 drinks in my hand and my mouth open, I watched the two until they finally separated and confirmed to me that it was indeed the love of my life, giving a very romantic kiss to her boss, William. At that moment, I dropped one of the drinks, which attracted the attention of the lovers. When she saw the man staring at her, I saw a shocked expression on her face. At that moment, I felt myself returning to my body and regaining my senses. I was speechless, feeling my stomach sink to the floor and a sudden deep pain in my heart. Not knowing what to do, I simply turned around and walked back to my table with the remaining drink in my hand. At the same time, Sarah came running after me and was just able to reach me before I reached our table. "Honey, I just found out that you and Angel are here for the awards ceremony. Thanks for coming, sweetheart. What you just saw wasn't what it looked like, honey. We can talk later." "Okay." I just nodded and went to our table where Sarah appeared and was congratulated by everyone. Angel gave her a big kiss and a hug and was so happy for her mother. I was still in shock and just sat there quietly with what I assume was a sad expression on my face, not saying a word. Sarah said she had a few more things to do and would join us again soon. Angel noticed my change in attitude and tried to ask me what was wrong. I just shook my head and said nothing more for the rest of the evening. That's it was clear that I was distraught and no longer happy to be there for everyone around us. I know what I saw, and it was much more than a friendly kiss. In fact, Sarah and I had not kissed like that in years. Thinking back, it had been over 5 years since we had kissed so passionately. My brain began to work as I thought about those years and how things had changed. I knew there was going to be trouble, but at that point, I was not sure exactly what it was. We drove home while Angel and Sarah talked about the night and how proud she was of her mother. Still shocked by what I had seen, I said nothing and just drove home, lost in my own head. Both girls noticed my silence and tried to get me to talk, but I remained persistently silent. Sarah knew it was not good, and she tried to make up for it by being sweet and extra affectionate, but I did not want to hear about that night. I tried to keep my feelings away from Angel. But being an intelligent girl, she knew something was bothering me and was smart enough to leave me to my own devices. Before Angel went to bed, she whispered in my ear, "Dad, if you want to talk, I am here for you, okay?" She gave me a hug and a kiss before going to bed. I went straight to bed without saying a word, and a few minutes later heard Sarah enter the room. "Johnny, are you okay, baby?" After a full minute of silence, she asked, "Honey, do you want to talk to me?" Her voice told me she was nervous. As she climbed into bed and tried to hold me, I turned my back to her. "Listen, I know what that looked like, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say, but it wasn't what it looked like. Please talk to me." Wordlessly, I lay there and remained silent as anger began to replace the state of shock I was in. I didn't say another word because there was nothing I wanted to say to this woman, and I knew that anything I'd say would be hurtful and wouldn't solve anything that night. She tried to hug me, but I ignored her and experienced the worst sleep of my life. The next morning was a Saturday, and I knew it was going to be a long day when I opened my eyes and the sunlight streamed in through the window. I lay there remembering the scene I had witnessed, trying to make sense of the situation. I climbed out of bed, went to the bathroom, washed, and brushed my teeth. When I returned to the bedroom, Sarah was sitting up in bed, watching me and trying to act normal. "Good morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well?" she asked, as if nothing had happened. I ignored her question, put on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and before leaving the bedroom, I looked at her and spoke to her for the first time since the kiss. I turned to her with a hateful look in my eyes, speaking for the first time since the banquet. I said, "How long?" which she didn't answer and just looked at her hands. I left her and headed out to eat breakfast and have some time to think. I ended the conversation feeling a little distraught. I know things are going to change for us, and I'm not looking forward to hearing what she's going to tell me about her affair. She knows she has to tell me the truth, because she knows if she lies, I'll know. Sarah and I've been very close, and she has never given me any reason to believe that she wants another man. I haven't noticed any change in her intimacy, and she still hugs and kisses me all the time. How can she act like that when she's having an affair? I mean, if she's with him, how can she show me all this love? Can the woman I love really have an affair with William? I looked at the clock and knew Angel was supposed to be at school for math club by 1 p.m., and I knew it was time to face it. I drove home and found Sarah sitting on the patio with a cup of coffee staring out at the lake. Without saying a word, I poured myself a cup, sat down next to her, and asked her those two words again, how long, after a few minutes of silence. I noticed tears running down Sarah's face when I heard Nick sent a shiver down my spine and an ache in my stomach that almost made me want to vomit. In a soft, tearful voice, I heard her say 3 years. I asked the nights you worked late. Again, she said almost in a whisper, yes. I sat in silence again for a few minutes and then spoke. If I've got this right, the 2 nights you worked late every week for the last 3 years were the only times you had sex with William. She said, yes, we've never done it anywhere else, and there's so much to explain, you give me a chance. I responded with, save it. You just told me you've been screwing your boss 2 nights a week for the last 3 years. You don't have to be an accountant to know basic arithmetic. You've ducked him over 300 times, and I know you never do it just once, so I assume you've done it at least twice a night. Son of a bitch. Sarah, you ducked this guy over 500 times behind our backs. Sarah, do you know any man who can live with knowing that? Tears fell from her eyes onto her lap as I continued. You two must have had so much fun laughing at me, your ignorant cuckold. I can only imagine what you said about me, or how he made fun of ducking my wife behind my back. Thank you so much, Sarah. I never thought you would do something like that to me. I have never been so humiliated and intentionally hurt by anyone in my life. I always believed that you loved me. You convinced me that I was your man. I loved you with all my heart. I would have died for you. But Sarah, you pissed on our marriage and broke my heart. Johnny, it wasn't like that. It was I interrupted her and told her to shut the hell up. I got up and walked off the porch while she sat there crying and begging me to stay. I kept my cool on the outside, but on the inside, I exploded and went for a ride to get my emotions under control. The feeling of betrayal was new to me, and I needed time to process my feelings, what she was saying, and what I would do. I needed to talk to someone, and the only family I had left was my brother Tony. We were very close growing up, but we took different paths in life. Tony spent 5 years in a federal prison for drug trafficking and moved in dangerous circles. By comparison, I was a churchgoer, an accountant who paid too much in taxes and didn't even have a parking ticket. Tony and I didn't talk very often, but growing up, Tony always looked to me for support. I was there for him during his trial, and thanks to my political contacts. For was able to get his sentence reduced from the mandatory 20 years to 5 years that morning. I called him. Hey, Tony, how are you doing, bro? How have you been? What's new? I have a problem, and I need to talk to someone. Do you have time? Of course. What's up, man? This is hard. Sarah cheated on me, and I just found out. I don't know what to do. I'm driving around hurt and in pain. I can start drinking, but that doesn't help. So I just had to tell someone I'm sorry to burden you with this. Oh man, I love Sarah, and I can't believe she did this. Do you know who did it yet, and what exactly? I know who did it, but I don't know all the details yet. I know it wasn't once, but I want revenge on that son of a bee. Man, I'm so mad I want to strangle my wife. Look, I have a lot of friends who have gone through this, and I can understand how you feel. You need to let go of your anger. Go to the gym, go for a jog, whatever, but you need to calm down and let me help you get through this. You need to face the situation, gather all the information you can, and then decide what you want to do. I'll help you with any plans you come up with. Don't say too much and try to act as normal as possible, which of course will be hard. Call me tomorrow and tell me what you've learned, and I'll be able to help you. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate your help. I'll call you tomorrow, I said, ending the call. On the drive, I passed a mattress store and had my first idea. I parked in the lot and made the first move. I had no intention of leaving the marriage until Angel was in college, which meant I'd be married for the next 2 years. There was no way I was going to sleep with Sarah again, and I'd be damned if I left my bedroom. So I had my first action plan, which made me realize there was a lot more to do. After meeting with the salesperson, I told them I'd pay full price if they could deliver the 2 full-size beds I had just picked out, along with all the furniture, including the headboard and all the hardware and assembly. I paid an extra one, Zozo, to have the current king-size bed dismantled. I paid, and we arranged delivery for 4,000 p.m. that afternoon. I texted Angel to let her know I'd pick her up, drove to her school, and waited in the parking lot. We went to lunch, and I gently explained to her that there would be some changes in the house in the near future. What happened at dinner last night? Daddy, I know something happened. I'm not stupid. Please don't keep me in the dark. It's not fair. You've always been honest with me, so please don't change. Okay, that's fair, and since it's going to be difficult, you have a right to know. I caught your mother and her boss kissing backstage. Dad, he was probably just congratulating her. Come on, you can't be that mad about a kiss. After I confronted her, she admitted that she's been having an affair with him for 3 years. That's something I can't fathom, and that's why our relationship has changed forever. Are you going to divorce her, Dad? Not yet. I'm still sorting it out, and we'll stay married, but it'll be different, and you have to be strong and not take sides. She's your mother, and she loves you, and that's between her and me. You have been a blessing to us, and a perfect daughter. I don't want your life to change just because your parents made mistakes, but I ask you not to judge us, and just know that we love you more than anything. She was crying now, and told me she knew it hurt me. I didn't want her to feel bad, but she was right. She needs to know why life is changing in our house. Sarah was surprised to see us come home together, and she could tell by the look on Angel's face that I had told her. Angel gave her a nasty look and went into her room without saying a word to her mother. You told her she knew something was wrong, and she has a right to know. Things are going to change for us, and she should understand why. You can explain it to her when she gets over the shock. What do you mean things are going to change? You're not going to divorce me, are you? Not now. I want to see how things turn out, and besides, I wouldn't do that to Angel. Things are definitely going to change starting today. Johnny, you have to let me explain what happened and try to understand. You're my husband, and I love you. Well, you willingly ducked William over 500 times behind my back. That's about it. Sarah, I don't know what you can say that a self-respecting man could accept. Do you really think I'm such a weak man? Obviously, you haven't thought this through. You know, what breaks my heart is that I can no longer enjoy the intimacy I used to love and look forward to. I'll never go to bed with you again, and I'll miss making love to you, but not as much as your little kisses and hugs. This is gonna hurt me a lot. Other changes are inevitable since you broke your marriage vows and our marriage contract. Like you, I'll no longer be faithful to you and will look for other lovers. Of course, I've never thought of doing that before, so it might be a while before I meet some nice women. You can keep seeing your lover because you'll never get anything from me again. It was as if she had received a blow on the head and physically withdrew from my remarks. She lost her balance and dropped onto the couch, startled. Sarah had obviously not realized the consequences of her adultery. Johnny, you must not see other women. That would destroy me, and I will not let that happen. I love you. What happened is not like that. I know it sounds bad, but let me try to explain. Sarah, 500 fucks behind my back, and suddenly you realize that your whorish behavior could have consequences. Yes, Sarah, you changed everything. Do not forget that all this happened because of your cheating, lying, and infidelity. At that moment, the bell rang at the right time because the surprises continued. I let the installers in and showed them the bed that was to be removed. They set to work and began to dismantle it. What's going on here? Who are these men? Well, Sarah, since I'm never going to sleep in the same bed with you again, I thought it wouldn't be fair for either of us to move into the guest room. So I bought 2 big beds. Right now, our bed is being removed, and then the new beds will be put up. There's a 90 sleeper swap for your mattress, so if you don't like the one I bought for you, you have 3 months to pick one you like. We're gonna sleep in separate beds. Yes, it's not fair for either of us to give up our wonderful bedroom, since we won't be intimate. I definitely don't want you in my bed. I can't believe you're doing all this. Yeah, and I can't believe you ducked your boss 500 times behind my back, so we're even. I said as I watched the men remove the bed we had enjoyed for so many years with feelings of pain and regret. Regret that I was married to a cheating slut. The next day I called my brother and our conversation went like Tony. I can't believe what I've learned. My wife, Sarah, has been sleeping with her boss twice a week for the last 3 years. Either way I see it, she screwed the guy over 500 times behind my back. I must be the blindest man in the world. She has humiliated me in ways I can't even imagine, and I don't even know what to do. Who is this guy? Her boss, William Aston. That sucks. Sorry, bro. What do you want to happen? I want him to suffer, and I want him to suffer in the worst way possible. This guy ducked my wife for years and sent her to my bed. He cuckolded me and humiliated me for 3 years, and I can't live with that. What about Sarah? She's dead to me. I'm going to divorce her when Angel is in college and destroy her before I leave. Right now, she's going to live a lonely life because I'm shutting her down. If she tries to divorce me before Angel goes to school, I'll ruin her career and expose her depravity in front of everyone. Dude, you're in trouble. If you want, I'll take care of Mr. Sten, and you take care of things at home and try to keep it all together. Tony, I don't want you to get in trouble, so don't do anything you could get arrested for. Do you understand me? Sure, brother. Don't worry about it. We'll talk again soon. The following weeks were stressful at home. Sarah tried to engage me in conversation, but I refused to answer her more than a word or two. I could tell she was frustrated and tried to help me forgive her, but I was still hurt, angry, and unyielding. I buried myself in work, came home late every night, and wasn't home on the weekends. Tensions were high, and everyone was walking on eggshells waiting for me to explode. When I came home one night after a long day at work, I found Sarah in her bed waiting to talk to me. After all these years of sleeping with the only woman I loved, I was now sleeping in a bed just a few feet away from my Sarah's. It was sad, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do this for the next 2 years until Angel left for university. After my shower, and as I laid down in my bed, she spoke. "Johnny, how was your day?" "Good," was all I said. "Johnny, I've been thinking, and I want to discuss some things with you and see what you think. I know you want nothing to do with me, but I still love you, and I want to try to make things better, even if it's just small steps. I've been thinking that maybe I should quit my job. We really don't need the extra money, and I can spend time being here for you. What do you think, baby?" As hard as I tried to keep my anger under control when I heard her call me baby and try to take advantage of her intimacy, I just flew into a rage. I sat up and spoke in a nasty voice as she looked at me with a stunned expression. "Listen, Sarah, I don't give a shit what you do. Work, don't work, duck your boyfriend, find a new cock to duck, it's your life, do what you want. And don't call me baby, honey, or anything other than Johnny. The more I think about it, you should keep your job and your 2 weekly duck sessions with William because you'll never have me again." I sent with tears in my eyes as I rolled over and laid my head on the pillow. I heard Sarah start to sob as she began to understand how much her betrayal had hurt. "Johnny, you don't have to say anything, but please just let me talk. I can't tell you how bad I feel and how sorry I am to have done this to you. I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. The pain I've caused is beyond anything I could have ever dreamed. Not being able to touch you, kiss you, or hug you is killing me. The coldness I feel from you has broken my heart. Yes, I miss you in bed, but I can't live without your touch and love. I don't know what to do or how to fix this, but I don't want to lose you. Please know that I'm here when you're ready to talk or ask something, and I'm ready to tell you everything. Johnny, the tensions in the house are toxic, and I'm afraid they're getting to Angel too. She's spending more and more time with her friends and doesn't want to be here anymore. I was thinking that maybe we could do some counseling to find a way to live together without this hatred. Would that be something you'd consider? I don't expect an answer, but think about it. If not for me, then for Angel. I know it's my fault, but it's not fair to her. She'll be gone in a few years, and we don't want her to spend her last years in a hateful house." I sighed and realized she was right. Angel was living through this nightmare, and it was not fair. After a few seconds, and to Sarah's complete shock, I answer her, "Okay, make an appointment and I'll go. But let me be clear, I'm doing this for Angel, not you." Sarah smiled and felt that she had made some progress. Her tears were now tears of happiness. In fact, the next evening, Sarah told me she had found the therapist and would meet with her alone the next day. She said we had set up a couples meeting for Friday at 3 p.m. I knew Sarah was right, and if I did not want to spend 2 years divorcing her, we had to find a way to live in peace. Angel was all excited when she heard we were going to counseling and hoped there would be a way to get her family back. She smiled for the first time in weeks when Sarah told her, "Johnny, Angel is so glad you agreed to couples counseling." You should have seen her smile when I told her. She said that night, when I got home from work, I went to dinner alone every night after work because I did not want to spend time with Sarah. The problem was that I also missed my angel and wanted to find a way to be home for her. I missed her smile, her hugs, and her calling me daddy. Sarah went to her solo counseling session and was wiped out that evening. When I got home, I found that she had been crying, and I realized that it was probably hard to tell someone that they had cheated on our family for years. Somehow, I had no sympathy or compassion for the woman who had broken my heart. My brother Tony called me later that week to tell me what was going on. He explained that he was still owed some favors from his former acquaintances, and that the debt they owed him was not in cash, but in favors for what he had done for them. He told me not to bother, that everything was in control. After contacting one of his associates, Tony explained the situation. They understood and told him they would take care of it and let him know when it was done. Tony explained that they did want to hurt him, and they wanted to leave it, so he would remember it for the rest of his life. He left it in their hands, and he knew it was not going to be pretty. Tony gave them the man's name, the place where he worked, and his phone number. That was all they needed. I guess when Sarah told William that I had found out about their affair, he was heartbroken. He loved Sarah and the way she made him feel. Apparently, they considered themselves a couple when they were together and shared their love during that brief time alone. After their affair became a habit, neither of them believed that their few hours a week could hurt anyone. They were simply two friends spending some time together. Both believed that their spouses never gave up anything or missed their love in time. It was only a few hours a week, and neither spouse missed their short time together. It was the perfect relationship that gave them the excitement and extra love that had been blunted by many years of marriage. After meeting Dr. Winters, the counselor, we began our session. It went exactly as I expected, and I listened as the counselor began the conversation. Johnny, Sarah, and I met this week, and she explained everything to me, and I explained to her how things work in our sessions. I thank you for coming and trying to find a way back. Please be honest with your answers and understand that everything that is said here stays here. I have heard everything, and nothing you say will shock me. I am saying this so you feel comfortable speaking openly to a complete stranger. I nodded and waited to see where this would lead. Sarah, please tell Johnny what you hope to get out of these sessions. My cheating wife looked over at me with tears in her eyes and said, Johnny, there is so much I want to tell you. I want to bring our family back together. I want to touch you and love you again. I want to find a way back to you and have everything the way it used to be. I must say, her emotions were moving, and I felt she meant every word. It was hard to watch her in her pain over losing my love, but I controlled myself and sat quietly while she took a handkerchief and wiped her eyes. The doctor asked what I would like to take away from these sessions. I said I would like to find a way to get the number 500 out of my head. If we can do that, then I think we can get back to some kind of normalcy. I saw Sarah wince and look away when she heard me say 500. Mr. Park, I do not understand what that number mean, and why is it so important that we get it out of your head? Well, Dr. Winters, I said in a sarcastic tone, I thought you had a session with Sarah this week, so the number should have come up. I looked over at Sarah and asked Sarah, did you leave that little detail off? Please, Mr. Park, this is not helpful. Can you please explain yourself and the number 500? Okay, as you know from my past, I am an accountant and numbers are important to me. What my beloved wife did not tell you is that in the last 3 years, she has allowed William to duck her over 500 times. That number is burned into my brain, and whenever I see it, that's the first thing that comes to mind. She ducked this guy 500 times behind my back and brought him to our bed every time. Silence reigned for several minutes while everyone calmed down again. Mr. Park, I understand your pain, but that language is not necessary here. It is hurtful and not necessary. I apologize, and it will not happen again, but it was necessary to express my pain and my point of view. Sarah cried and repeated, I am sorry, I am so sorry. I finally relaxed as my outburst reduced my anger. Again, I would like to apologize for my outburst. To answer your question, I want to find a way to forgive Sarah to the point where we can have a home without hate and anger. We have a daughter who does not deserve to suffer the consequences of my wife's affair. I want to find a way to live together in peace. Thank you, Mr. Park. Over the next few weeks, I managed to speak in a friendly tone without the vam. Things at home were much better. Not good, but better. Angel was home more often. We went out to eat, went to the movies, went out with friends, and tried to be a normal couple. The only problem is that everyone noticed that there was no intimacy between us at all. I never held her hand, we never kissed, and I never let her hug or touch me. Several friends asked Sarah what was wrong because our affection was the exact opposite of what everyone had seen in the last 15 years. It was obvious that we were having a hard time, but we kept going. 2 weeks after my first couples session, there was an intrusion at William's home. Some men came in, and without wasting too much time, and without disclosing the reason behind their coming, they gave him a nice beating in the presence of his wife and left immediately. He was later taken to the hospital. When Sarah heard about William's incident, she was thunderstruck. Sarah knew that I wanted revenge and was somehow involved. That night, when she told me how someone had broken into her boss's house and attacked him, she watched for a reaction. She saw a small grin flit across my face as I replied, "Wow, that's something," was all I said as I continued to read the book in front of me. "Is that all you have to say?" Her tone and comments struck a nerve as I looked up and glared at her. "Oh, I am so sorry your lover got hurt. Do you want me to send him flowers, or should we purling?" She looked away and the conversation ended. Sarah knew that I was somehow responsible for this, and that if I showed remorse for caring about William, all the progress we had made would be over. Earlier that week, I received a text from Tony with a thumbs up emoji. That was our last contact for several months after things cooled down. I wondered if the police would find out about their affair and question me about the attack, but that did not happen. The police eventually put the report on case open file and moved on to other crimes. The perpetrators, or the reason for the attack, were never found. A few months had passed, and as I had promised, I began dating and going out late. After Sarah quits me a few times about my activities, she realized that she should mind her own business and not cause any problems. I clarified that we were husband and wife in name only, and were living together for the sake of our daughter. We eventually found a way to remain civil to each other, and our family life was going well. Sarah finally understood how badly she hurt her husband, and there was nothing she could do about it. I kept the family together by letting her know that I would inform her family and friends about her affair, and make her life hell as she filed for divorce before Angel went off to college. Sarah was still married, but alone. She had no one to give her love to, which she lived for. Giving hugs, kisses, and love was something that defined her, and the two men she gave that to are now lost. She continued to work and live a life of sadness, and knowing that her husband was enjoying himself with another woman made everything much worse. Counseling helped her, but she went alone because I knew I could never forget the terrible betrayal. She had done it to herself. Her vanity, selfishness, and stupidity had destroyed her marriage and the man she loved. She found no sympathy in Angel, who still loved her mother, but every time she complained about her father, she reminded her that she had done it to herself. Angel kept telling her how much her father loved her, and how dejected I was that night when I saw her with another man. Angel would never forgive her mother for hurting her father like that, but she would always love her mother. After Angel left for college, I came home one day with the divorce papers. A year earlier, I had considered ruining the finances and destroying Sarah, but I relented and split things evenly. Over the course of the last 2 years, I forgave her, but the love I had once felt was gone forever. Sarah was not shocked by the divorce papers and signed them without protest. She knew she had destroyed everything and thrown away my love, but somehow she was relieved that maybe she could start a new life. She had learned her lesson and would never cheat again. Divorcing the woman I loved for all those years was painful, and I was full of remorse for the events that led to our separation. I wished I could take it all back or find a way to forgive her, but as hard as I tried, I could never get that 500 number out of my head. We sold the house and split the equity. I moved in with Trisha, a dancer 15 years younger than I had been dating. With my confidence and happiness restored, I was finally at peace. Sarah never lost hope for reconciliation and cried for weeks after hearing of my wedding to another woman. She could never forgive herself when she thought about the lives her selfishness and hubris had damaged. She dated a few men, but could never find the love she had lost. She gained weight, her looks faded, and she became a bitter, lonely woman. Angel and Sarah were close, but Sarah never heard from me that much. She would never again experience the love she had with her wonderful husband, and lived with the pain she'd had given to so many loved ones. I made sure Angel's college was funded and cared for. She became a psychologist with a need to help others. My comment. The lesson you should learn from this is close the window that hurts you no matter how beautiful it is. Sometimes you got to learn things the hard way to move forward. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more stories like this.